And it's Topics Tuesday. I have 3 topics all submitted by Abigail Mitchell. Thank you, Abigail. The first one is, what are my favorite animals? Her favorite animals are tigers. And my favorite animals are dogs. I love dogs. I've had guide dogs for 9 years now, and I just love dogs. Everything about them, their personalities, they each have different personalities, they each have their own style of doing things. And with guide dogs, when they're working, they're focused, they're completely attentive. And when they're out of harness, they are little monsters. They're just crazy. They're zany. They make up for lost time. And I just love my guide dogs. And the only thing I don't love is having to give them up for retirement. But I just love dogs. So thank you for that question, Abigail. I'm sorry. And her next question was, what's my favorite music? And her favorite music is from the 80s. I was growing up in the 70s and 80s because I'm 53 now. So my favorite music is actually from the 70s. And my all-time favorite group is the Carpenters. And I remember when Karen Carpenter died. And it helped me to face my own anorexia. But it was terrible. It was a shock to everybody. And I remember the feeling that ran through me was just unnatural. It really did make me face my own anorexia. But I still didn't tell my mother. And my mother was too self-involved to see what was going on with me. And I couldn't tell her. And Karen Carpenter had died, and of the disease that I was dying of. I was that thin. And it was terrible. But I remember at one point, years later, I decided to eat. I don't know, I just got it in my head I was going to get better. And my mother said, don't eat so fast. Remember what happened to Karen Carpenter. And I remember thinking, you hypocrite. It was really hard because I was trying. And that was my favorite music group of all time. And I still listen to her songs all the time. But my music is 70s, some 80s, mostly 70s. I like the softer rock. I like some of the music from now, actually, because it's softer rock. Anyways, Abigail also asked another question. She put it on one of the videos, and I responded to it, but I wanted to respond to it here. She said that services are terrible in the UK for anorexia support, and she asked me how they are in the US, and I said I'm not from the US, I'm from Canada, but they're terrible here too. And I thought I would discuss that because it is a chronic problem. In Canada, you basically have to be under 30 and down to skin and bones to get any support. And I'm 53, so the hospitals won't take me. They won't do anything for me because I'm not, 30 or 25. And I had a doctor who put me on nutrition drinks 3 times a day and made me gain weight, but she didn't do anything about the anorexic thinking. Now, I found this therapist, and I'm hoping this is the answer because I can't get inpatient treatment. It differs a little bit from province to province, but for the most part, we have a really shoddy system. We do not help anorexics and bulimics enough. We just don't have the system in place for it. In the US, if I understand correctly, there are a lot of good programs, but you have to have the money to pay for the programs. So it's a catch-22. If you don't have the money, you don't get the program. Which means you can get very good services if you're wealthy. If you're not wealthy, you don't get good services. Or if your coverage doesn't pay for it, you don't get good services. And now they're cutting out Obamacare, and it's going to cut people who had insurance for services out of the insurance. So now I may be wrong about that. I invite Americans to comment and tell me if I'm wrong. But I understand that you're going to be losing your services because you won't have insurance anymore. This is a tricky business. Mental health generally gets less funding than all other health areas combined. Mental health or separate, but all other health areas. Mental health is left to the bottom. And so eating disorders, being a mental health disorder, is left to the bottom. And it doesn't get the support that we need. There are too many beds. There is too little support. There is too little recognition of the ongoing disorder. There is too little recognition of the need for support, even though someone might not have a BMI that's so low that they need feeding support. And so people end up getting sicker and sicker and sicker until they are so low that they're near death. And then by then it's too late to do anything but feeding support. And then they come out of the program with the same anorexic feelings and thoughts that they had when they went into the program. And at that point, you've got a vicious cycle going, which is what happened to me. I would go into hospital for 11 months. I would be put on nutrition support, but I never had the psychotherapy I needed. And then eventually I just fell out through the cracks. Now that was in Ontario. Now I live across the country. I live on the West Coast now. I live in Alberta, which is near BC. BC is on the West Coast. I live on the mountain ranges. And it's no better. But I'm hoping this therapist helps. What I would suggest is look at all the services available in your area and start working through them. Try to find a private therapist if you can afford it. If you're in a place like the UK or Canada, you can sometimes get a medical doctor or a psychiatrist who's covered by your insurance, your public insurance, and then you can get it covered. If you're in the United States and you have health insurance, you can sometimes get a program that's covered. And you do have good programs in the United States, you just need the coverage. The other thing is to try to work out something with the program, because they're more than likely willing to do some bargaining. And that is, I think, covers it. But please make comments. And I especially welcome comments from the Americans, because I don't know that I covered you as well as I should have. You've obviously got information that I don't have about your programs. My information comes from my brother, and it comes from what I've heard, and it comes from what I've read, and I obviously have missed something, but I would really appreciate comments from the Americans. Okay, now, if you enjoyed this tape and want lots more of them, push that little red subscribe button, because we need lots of subscribers in our beautiful little community. And so please push that subscribe button and join us. And that was Topics Tuesday. Remember to submit topics for next Tuesday, and remember to submit questions for question and answer Saturday. Saturday is coming sooner than we think, so submit those questions. Okay, guys, nice chatting with you. Thanks.